Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Kerbal, or the bi-daily Kerbal, tri-daily Kerbal, or whatever recently. Mostly just because... oh crap, why are you stuck here? Why is this shroud still here? Oh no. Anyway, we're in orbit of Eve with an unmanned spacecraft that I hope is going to land and take off from the surface. It's unmanned, even though our mission is to land actual people on Kerbin. On Eve. But I'd like to just, first of all, address the reason that I have not been uploading daily Kerbal Space Program videos for a while now. You see, the thing is that this entire Eve mission has me stumped. Exploring Duna has been fun. It's been very interesting, but Duna is an extremely easy planet to explore. Everything about it is just, perfect to make it, like, baby's first planet to explore. It's got an orbit that is roughly equal to that in inclination to Kerbin's orbit, which means that it's a very easy maneuver to get there. It's got low gravity. It's got a thin atmosphere, making landing and taking off from it very easy, obviously making it worse to live there. But it's an easy planet to explore in that sense that I can literally just build like a lander rocket. I can build a space saucer, basically, a flying saucer, and land it there, as you've seen in previous episodes as I've done. Now, the entire reason that I went out of my way to figure out how SSTO works and to see if I can build spacecraft like that was because I assume that's the only way to take off from Eve, considering it has huge gravity and an extremely dense atmosphere. And I had no idea how we could land on it. Landing actually is easy. It's the taking off that's hard. Taking off and getting back into orbit. Once you're in orbit, then you can, send recovery spacecraft, refuel your spacecraft, and then take it wherever you need to go. Do the standard interstellar travel thing. But this one in particular, I don't know what to do with. So, in proper Apollo program fashion, we are going to test the crap out of everything. I am going to build an unmanned spacecraft, as you can see right here. It's is the bit that brought it here. Okay, the shroud is gone away now. This is the bit that brought it out here, and everything that you see on it, these are all designed to be part of a craft to take off, and basically the payload that we need to get back up is this much. I've got a little fuel refueling module here with drills on the bottom of it's right there, you can see the drills over there on the bottom of the spacecraft, just so I might be able to land on Eve's surface, refuel the probe, and then just try to get it back into orbit. Because if this works, right, if I can get this thing to work, basically all I have to do is create an upscaled version of this spacecraft, and that will be able to do the job as well. Then I can start, once I have the specs to land on Eve and take off from Eve, then I'm going to feel a bit more safe about sending pilots down there. I will not be reverting this flight if it blows up, like if it gets destroyed. Obviously, I'm going to take some liberties on that, for sure, but in general, I don't expect to recover any of the cost of this spacecraft. I expect this to be a huge waste of money, but, there is no waste when it comes to the lives of my crew. I don't like to take unnecessary risks. So, if the probe blows up, then, well, I guess that's just all she wrote. So, now, we have performed one Eve landing in the past, so taking into consideration the lessons that I learned there, here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're bringing the probe out of hibernation. Alright. I retracted all of the solar panels that I had opened previously, and now we're going to orient ourselves retrograde. I should have used action groups, I get the feeling, but we're going to use the atmospheric engines. By atmospheric engines, I of course meant the non-atmospheric engine. Well, the least powerful vacuum engines. They're still pretty powerful. But you don't have a lot of burn left in these. So I'm going to bring us down to a periapsis of about... Periapsis of about... 70,000, 75,000. I think that should be enough to slow us down to landing. Now, I specifically chose this point of the planet to slow down on because this is going to be a very long descent. And I don't really know how far, how much the drag is going to slow us down. So I put a very wide stretch of dry land ahead of us, so that we can reliably, know that there's going to be dry land beneath our feet when we get there. Okay, so I'm actually going to put it like about that much. And you'll see why, right? The atmosphere here is 90,000 meters. Okay, I'm going to quick save here. By the way, just to clarify what I meant when I said that I wasn't going to be reverting the flight or anything, I'm not going to cheat to recover this vessel. I consider its cost to be permanent, basically. But I will be quick loading and stuff like that just because, the big fail point here is whether or not it gets back out into orbit or not. That's what we're really curious about. And now that we're here, I let the planet rotate too far. Okay, I'm going to wait till we get to periaps. I'm a bit worried that we're going to start burning up before that. But, yep, I can see the heat shield getting hotter. Okay, so now I'm going to start burning retrograde again to slow us down. Just until our apoapsis gets to about 130,000, 140,000. Like that. Because this one, I think the drag is going to slow us down properly. Now I'm going to deploy the heat shield. And this should keep the vessel protected. I hope. This is something that I'm not ever going to be able to replicate with a larger scale spacecraft, I think, because this is the largest heat shield that the game has, to my knowledge. I'm not sure how else to solve this problem. Okay, fast forward. We're not slowing down well enough, are we? Now all I can do is jettison it, so... yeah. Okay, we're now going back up. So this didn't work out. I'm going to have to quick load this. It's alright. This is the point of this mission. It's to test everything out. So we definitely need a lower periaps. Take it down to 75. Put us to retrograde, please. Hopefully get there before we start burning up. Alright. Come on. Come on. Hurry up a bit, please. Thank you. Okay. No, I'm not going to go out into the map view again. I'm just going to keep an eye on our thing. This is the place where I get the accurate view of how much fuel we have anyway. I'm starting to think that... yeah. Okay, so see seeing as we are going to have a bit more atmospheric drag in this case, I think it's safe to leave the apoapsis a bit higher. Probably around here. I'm going to quick save here this time. I might regret this. Probably will. Let's inflate the heat shield. Let's see if now we have enough slowing power from the atmosphere. Doesn't look like it. Oh, there we go. Okay, something's starting to happen. Something's starting to happen. Speed it up. Apoapsis is dropping. Periapsis is dropping. These are all good things. We want this to happen. As soon as both of these are below 90,000 meters is when I'm going to be very happy. I'm also realizing now that I forgot to put any winglets or fins on the side. Let's hope that doesn't matter. Okay. Feel safe that we're going to have a stable descent now. Oh yeah, I have air brakes. Ought to use those too. Alright, the camera's flipped. It means we've gone suborbital. Now, this is going to take a while. I honestly just hope that the heat shield lasts. I don't know if this heat shield is indestructible. There's no... Oh crap. I think that was one of the air brakes, wasn't it? Yep. Lost one of the air brakes. I might as well just pull those in because they seem to be... Oh crap, and I forgot to retract the antenna. Yeah, that's a problem. Hang on a sec. Okay, we're back. I did everything again the same way. Just loaded the quick save and retracted the antenna, so that wouldn't become a problem. Oh boy. Okay. Tipped over a bit. Not too pleased about that. I hope it's not going to cause us any problems. For some reason the solar panel's doors appear to be half open. I wonder what happened there. Alright, so this is going to take a while. I'm not sure if I want to speed up just on the count of me being very scared that it's going to mess with the physics in a way that I don't want it to. But anyway. It looks like, it feels to me like the craft is just begging to flip over. It scares me. I'd like it to push itself back to retrograde if possible. I wish I had stats on the heat shield. Anything really important there? I can't tell what we're losing. Yeah, we lost an entire rocket. Oh boy. So okay, so the problem here is a lack of stability. The heat shield itself absorbs everything just fine. The problem is at the moment the heat shield isn't covering something, that thing is toast. But we did slow down, and we slowed down pretty high up, so I'm going to reload the quick save again and see if I can't do something without, having to go back home and rebuild the vessel. See if I can't find some way to maintain stability. Give me a sec. So basically what I've been... Oh crap. Ironic that it happens just as I say that, just as I restart the recording. So what I've been doing is I redid the re-entry thing, but without without speeding up the time warp thing. And basically up until we hit this point here, there have not been any overheating problems. There haven't been any stabilization problems either. So at this point, really my only thing that it's possible that we haven't lost anything important yet. I feel like by rotating... So yeah, as it turns out, landing on Eve isn't actually as easy as I thought. I honestly don't know if it's like the sudden increase in the density of the atmosphere that causes this. But the craft slows down pretty well after that. So maintaining stability at that point, I think, is the key. I'm gonna try this one more time. Hey there. So yeah, this seems to be the case. Very reliably, at the moment the atmosphere gets thicker, and the craft actually starts to properly slow down, things start to go south. And considering the speed we're coming in at, I don't really think there's any way that I can fix this. Because this just generally seems to be the trend. Every time the ship gets to around 55,000 meters, it starts to tip all over the place. The SAS goes crazy trying to maintain a retrograde heading, and yeah. So what we have here is just one of those extremely disappointing points where I honestly don't know what I'm doing wrong, what I could do to make this any better. My thoughts immediately shift to placing this entire vessel into like a fairing and seeing if dropping it that way keeps it safe, but that's not something that I can replicate in a larger vessel. I'm strongly considering turning off the, just saying ignore maximum heat in the cheats, just so I can see if I manage to land the vessel, if it can take off. In fact, I think I'm gonna do that. Because, you know, the stability issue is something that I could fix with a redesign. And I think I could get it to where, you know, adding winglets and other aerodynamic parts, maybe. Again, the whole fairing idea. And these things that are issues for us right now might not actually be issues if we have a larger vessel that might be more heat resistant. But I want to know if I can take off and get into orbit with it. So I apologize for doing this, but this is supposed to be a test anyway. So I'm gonna just skip ahead to the point. I'm gonna turn off the overheating. Tell the game to ignore max temperature. I'm gonna set it down, apparently right in the middle of this one patch of water, if everything goes the exact same way. And we'll see if we can take off and get into orbit with the vessel when we're done. So we'll see you in a sec. Okay, so just to showcase this, when I'm speeding ahead at 4 times speed, these stability problems occur well before. So, you know, speeding up the game does have an effect on the game's physics. But yeah, so this is what it looks like when heat is not an issue. I enabled the cheat, so yeah, I feel the need to point out that I consider myself a very strong casual Kerbal Space Program player. I am definitely not... Okay, I hope this shouldn't matter. Like, it should just ignore the overheating. Nothing has blown up yet. The heat shield has come off. Strangely enough, that's not supposed to happen. This is kind of weird, but... Oh no, it's because, yeah, also for seeing problems like this, I enabled the unbreakable joints cheat as well. Yeah, okay, so we are now... What the heck? I specifically said that should not happen. Alright. I think I should have slowed down the warp speed a bit sooner. So the game punishing me for cheating, obviously. So, let's do it again. Let's inflate the heat shield. I'm still going to retract this antenna. Not that it really matters. And yeah, let's speed up again. I'm even going to activate the aero brakes. Since this is no longer an issue. And you see we're already... Oh, the reason we're unstable is because I don't have it set to, you know, to move to retrograde. Every time I load the quick save, it's another thing I have to remember. It just really sucks. Come to think of it, that might have been the reason that we plummeted earlier, the reason that the vessel was taken apart. Okay, well, let's see if it survives. I mean, it should, since I broke the game to tell it to survive. It's basically that initial slow between like 3,000 meters per second and 2,000 meters per second that we have to survive. I feel like once we get through that, the rest should be pretty safe. Here we go. Flipping over. And it seems to... See how it seems to get stabilize the moment I deactivate the time warp? I mean, it's still not, you know, holding straight, but... Anyway. I'm going to move this up here, just because the next stages that we want are going to be the drogue chutes. I hope. Alright, please survive. Okay, I think the audio, it sounds quieter. I think it might be getting safer. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So things are becoming easier to control now. Keep the air brakes open, and we're not over water, thank goodness. Now, as soon as we get to the right speed, I'm going to deploy our drogue chutes. There we go. Drogue chutes deployed. That should bring us down to the safe 200 meters per second that we need to deploy the main chutes. And let's see if the parachute power that this thing has is enough to land it, enough to bring it down to a safe speed on its own, or if I have to use rockets. Could happen. Parachutes, the main chutes, I think, are going to be safe to deploy at like 250 meters per second, something like that. Our actual terrain altitude is about, this area appears to be like between 1,000 and 2,000 meters above sea level. You can see it right there. We got a terrain altitude right here and sea level altitude over there. Oh, sorry. So the thick atmosphere here provides for good circumstances to use all kinds of air brake. What? I beg your pardon? Aero forces and how? How did that happen? Well, that's just wonderful. Still going too fast. Ugh. Okay, well, we're landing with drogue chutes. That's that's gonna be fun. We'll see if this works. They should deploy at about like 5,000 meters above terrain. Please. Oh, it's gonna be 2,000, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just do it, please. So I'd like to jettison this heat shield. It's gonna get in the way of our landing if I don't do it. Alright, drogues are fully opened, and it slowed us down to 60 meters per second. That's not bad. Now let's jettison the heat shield. Alright. Why are the engines not activating? Why are my engines not activated? Crap. The ship won't throttle up. Oh crap, it's because I don't have the antenna extended. Darn it. And now it's destroyed. At this point we'll destroy the part. Okay, so I can't use rockets to land it. Well, okay, here comes the explosion. Enjoy it. I'm going to try that again, this time opening the parachutes a bit later. Alright, so we're approaching, here we are at drogue deployment altitude. And now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the last possible second to deploy the parachutes, the main chutes. I'm going to deploy them after the drogues have fully opened. That should provide us enough air braking to make sure that the force, the aerodynamic force or whatever, is not too heavy. Alright, so let's speed up. Hope that doesn't cause too much trouble. I'm actually going to quick save at this point. It's not like anything about this flight is fair now. I just really want to know if this can get into orbit. Excuse me. We're approaching. We're at 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. Alright, let's let. Oh, excuse me. Okay, there goes that. Now I'm going to deploy the main chutes. The main chutes have survived. Alright, so they're going to go fully deployed in about 500 meters. I'm much more comfortable with this descent. There we go. The main chutes slow down the craft to an actual perfectly capable landing speed. Oh great, I have the hiccups now. Okay, so we can jettison the heat shield. There it goes. It actually falls very slowly. Okay, and at this point I'm just going to deploy the landing gear. Obviously a larger rocket wouldn't have that. There wouldn't be landing gear strong enough to support an upscaled version of this vessel. So, here it comes. Darn hiccups. I hear that a really good cure for hiccups is getting into orbit. So, let's test that. Great. Poof, there goes the heat shield. Those legs will survive 10 meters per second, won't they? I think they will. They did not. It is okay though, because everything else of importance did survive, including one of the legs. I think the problem was here that we came in on a slope. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the. Oh wait, we're skidding, aren't we? Yeah, that's it's a bit of a problem. Could you not do that, please? Well, absolutely nothing about this day is going as planned. That's fine. Let's get these solar panels extended. I think I know what might anchor the vessel. Oh boy. If you would activate these radiators and deploy the surface harvester. So, now we gotta begin the fuel refinement process. Darn it. We need that to replenish our liquid fuel and oxygen. Turn these radiators on. And this is probably going to take a while, so... yeah, once we've managed to fill up all our fuel canisters and we're going to attempt the orbital launch, I will rejoin you then. Jeez. So, I'm afraid this episode is going to have to come to a very sad end. Not just because I totally betrayed everybody and used a cheat in order to land a vessel, but because I have the hiccups and it's killing me. No, that's not the reason. The reason is that because of the way that the vessel is on the ground, there is just no way for it to be there stably. I quick-saved at one point after the landing to see what would happen if I retracted the lander, the one surviving landing strut. Nothing happened. It tipped over for a while and then just kind of stood there at kind of an angle. But then every time I load the quick save here, or jump out of a time warp, here's what happens. See, the way the game works, the physics engine seems to kind of drop items or objects down onto the ground. Drop items down onto the ground every time you load in the game, or every time you jump out of time warp, or load a quick save or something like that. So at this point, I'm pretty much just screwed. Like, there's literally nothing I can do in order to salvage this. So the unmanned Eve lander will forever scatter the landscape of the surface of the planet as a reminder of the failures that have befallen me during this test. And I imagine these hiccups are going to follow me around as a second reminder of that for a while as well. Anyway, I'm still going to upload this episode. Partially just because I haven't uploaded anything on Kerbal Space Program for a couple of days, and that's bugging me. But also because, I don't want to give the impression that my Kerbal Space Program experience, especially this series of videos, has been nothing but success after success. Most of what happens to me is kind of like this. Honestly, I don't know what the lesson here is. I'm not sure what to take away from this. I'm using the heaviest landing struts, just to explain myself. This would have been a problem if this one engine was further in than the rest. The problem was that if I had done that, then these engines wouldn't have fit because of the heat shield, right? The heat shield had to be a little bit more down than the rest of them, and by doing that, I sacrificed stability. This would obviously be a lot easier if larger landing legs existed, heavier landing struts, but they do not. And I didn't even get to show you the cool little rocket ejection system that I built here to remove the fuel converter at the end, and the fact that I even mounted the surface harvester drills on the coupleable stack separators. Here, let's do some more explosions, why not? In order to remove dead weight, right? To be able to make this vessel as light as it could possibly be for the takeoff. So yeah, that's that. I will leave you with this gorgeous image of my creation. Just as I said, it's bits littering the Eve landscape, almost mockingly and you know, insultingly. But hey, this is also, I suppose, what actual space exploration looks like a lot of the times. This is what happens, and people underestimate, I think, the power of failure. It's by far the best way to learn. I think it teaches us the strongest way. The lessons that it teaches are definitely the ones that stick with you for the longest time. And yeah, I guess that's enough moralizing for now. I will see you on the next Daily Kerbal whenever that occurs. Hopefully with a bit more success next time. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.